Ready to stand by. It's November 12th. This is unregularly scheduled of the finance. It's 2:30. Yesterday was Veterans Down committee meetings. The committee vice chair, secretary, and are to my Mr. Hill here. And I will move.
The vote is open.
The ayes have it. It's
Vote is closed.
and do we have an amendment?
No one signed up.
So we will move. Presentation up is the
Mohammed Officer, I recall the city council, the CFO to look which is one of the most leading analytical softwares that does in machine learning to be able to
the ayes have it. That's
Vote is closed.
and do we have an amendment?
No one signed up.
So we will move. Presentation up is the
Mohammed Officer, I recall the coordinated with SAS Institute, which is one of the most leading analytical softwares that does in machine learning to be able to
Can you hear me okay? Accompanied by my ICE account executive, ensuring that software you are seeing that talk through and so. So just very quickly, outnotions to exhibitions as really our goal is to a data-driven innovations that
which is one of the most leading analytical softwares that
executive, ensuring that software you are seeing that talk through and so. So just very quickly, outnotions to exhibitions as really our goal is to a data-driven innovations that make revenues. We had 4 when going into one of the data-driven, look for detect outliers, residential and appraisal to deliver those into property highlighting areas of in decline, and then ultimately to reduce the manual workload and cost of reviewing those property valuations. Now, just briefly and quickly how the model works and really where SAS comes into play. There are 4 different components here. Certainly can dive deeper, but at a high level, we start with first being machine learning, which we began with historical data, including 2 years of property tax sales and fair market value data that we were provided. Those machine learning processes run thousands and thousands of iterations through this data that we received to detect patterns and relationships that aren't as easily seen at a manual effort. Then we move into the second phase, which is those predictive models that were developed. For those patterns, the model determines the best statistical approach. It's what we call a gradient boosting model, which prudently, that's where we built decision trees that learn from previous you add data into the model. Phase, which results that we are here to present today. Across all the historical data, as mentioned, we received 2 years of that anomalies and potential outliers in those fair market valuations. Use key metrics such predictive versus actual market values here to measure the price-related differences and ultimately flag them. Results were then displayed through interactive dashboards, which you will see here in a minute. With geospatial mapping, that's staff to ultimately drill down and identify those outliers for further review. And then finally, continuous improvement. As new data comes in and is added to the model, we reframe back to our model and it consistently improves. That way, it's the most accurate with the current Key findings phase of the analysis on the difference predicted fair market value, actual fair, list tax records. So probably a variance of this case plus or minus 20%. Outliers for now. I'll just note that percent indicator SAS of this project, depending on what you look at in terms. Certainly doesn't. Plus or minus 20 initial findings. Seeing these dash evaluations, it got 20%, suggest closer exam. And now when we look closer, a continuous improvement, as new data comes in and is added to the model, we reframe back to our model and it consistently improves. That way, it's the most accurate with the current. Key findings phase of the analysis on the difference predicted fair market value, actual fair, list tax records. So probably a variance of this case plus or minus 20%. Outliers for now. I'll just note that percent indicator SAS of this project, depending on what you look at in terms. Certainly doesn't. Plus or minus 20 initial findings. Seeing these dash evaluations, it got 20%, suggest closer exam. And now when we look closer, a 20% variance. Now these residential properties are generally at value trend. The commercial deviation, where briefly here, these are just a few come out of the work. It's those main report be pulled together, transparency, accuracy, and the of the property. And with both, so with that, I'm going to pass it and kind of dive the findings that we have.
Thank you again for this time. Appreciate it. Earlier, the objective look at the appraisal value and sales value into a picture, so see the properties at threshold, but it being it set at that number. Can be, and if you wanted to, your tolerance area in the map. What you're seeing on variances are rent threshold. Further clarity, there can be any number of things, such as the number of beds exciting brick. So in the data versus was actually sold with, and say a 3 sold as a 3 with a fireplace. An anomaly itself, it could be the improvement and could be something so that attribute in this could be outside, but it is maybe taking it. We also found that the properties that were low were actually not residential. Or commercial home that was in an area that is allowed for residential home that converted property. So been made over to self. Other slide, one of those read out of the previous. Slot deeper inside of it. The number that is circled here is the value. It does not have SAS up at the top of that. In the residential, this number in regard to the call out would have you some of the models, and that number would discrepancy. Look at the noted tax and sales value. You can see the variance between those particular ones. Take a look at what was going on with the actual. And then created a model to show you what the potential sales value should have been. This that I showed you, that was what we wanted to do to show that based on DeKalb County, just to separate the property so you can see view over their view. The commercial finding really started out as, say, can we take that we do and apply it to that 47% of commercial properties fell outside acceptable threshold. I want to caveat this with that commercial property sales of downtown at large. When you take a look at buttes, these are the size of particular what the inside, the number of things of that particular weren't that it was very hard to find specifically that threshold is. More of a proof of concept, what we were doing to the commercial side, more data. Cleaner data to what's going on with these. Same thing as we did property, we've pulled those red dots via screen, fair issues with, you can see that market is lower than the SAS estimate. It's off again, some of the things that we were, while the models are in more detail, and if you think of it, you can 3-2, but the more detail you into that sale are collected and the more you can compare to other homes, then you can, in terms of that commercial property. Other like kind area in Fulton or DeKalb County, Atlanta, and say these two are actually alike, less in this area. They have the same type of have you. So the richer the results. The commercial properties and separate, it shows DeKalb County money. There's a lot less. The other one again left in DeKalb. This is side, so you can see the between the. And I'm going to hand it back over to bring it to an end.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Okay. To wrap things up, the effective
Between the. And I'm going to hand it back over to bring it to an end.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Okay. To wrap things up, the effectively identify our objectives with appraisals that allow, but also there's that you implemented a very objective perspective, property appraisal comparisons, evaluation trends, future forecasting. As Rodney mentioned, the more prosperous as we continue to work, city leadership can strengthen, but also enhance the accuracy of those future. Appreciate your time.
I'm going to thank been at this for quite some time. Has the right information over, able to coordinate what we needed, highlight that, get better with more data and more questions. So really, we just want to get this right. Investor's office so that they can provide us so that we can, be good partners and streamline this and was ultimately not only us, but as well as the county itself.
Okay, so before I throw the questions from the committee, I would hear you talk about what you think the next and will produce.
Yeah, I do feel that is going on and really machine learning software, because as it more points of variation, it can help us get it more right. We know that the assessors are looking at these parcels and they have a lot more intimate. You want to be able to leverage the technology that we have to help them process and help them become more efficient at doing their job. Ultimately, we want, sure, there's a highlighted issue here, I think, to dive with the office.
Do you think we might ballpark get?
I mean, yesterday. We do need that because each year that investment, we have to wait a whole nother year to do this. The calendar, probably be most likely the end of 2026 calendar.
Board open for questions, comments. It's an interesting, well, let me ask you. What surprised you? Or were you at all surprised by?
Yes, I was surprised the how much what fell in for commercial. And I didn't think that the county difference, we knew commercial was compared to residential. Know that the county variance in county, even though we don't have a lot of information back to, if we get as possible, it really helps tune this. We're directionally we'd like to get more granular. So we can be able to use that better data, better decision making.
So in theory, it's between DeKalb and Fulton.
In theory, yes.
I don't know that any of us by the residential. This may be a little bit more, the 20% tolerant and generous, but would I be wrong that the height of a piece of property, if you went up in the more discrepancy, run true value?
Value from the
Yeah.
appraisal. I think what you would, sorry, and is that you would find all of what would be. For example, 5 years of data would be far more, a lot more of a, in order to things. Wise as the appraisal help you to understand escalating the price year, way that the market is actually, that the people are, and is that you would find all of what would be, for example, 5 years of data would be far more, a lot more of a, in order to things. Wise as the appraisal help you to understand escalating the price year, way that the market is actually, that the people are, you know, because a home is valuable as pay for it, right? So is that being reflected? Are they just saying to brick house X neighborhood or comparative neighborhood?
I think my first question is, do you have information on some of these properties are? Was that at all just because getting of majority of our residential are commercial?
No, we did not pull in that I know of. But those particular parcels, if the data be a completely different analysis would be done. a system, which is a system that they use, bring in homeowners, look at, and who is not.
Yeah, not to delve too much, have we ever had to FEC of that nature? Given the studies and things, we would find a core discrepancy, so I'm curious. And I wanted to ask what would be your, for council to act, what would be anything the city can do?
You may answer.
Yeah.
I think the first thing would be get those outliers, because it was just 8% that were outside that 20%. It was a significant percent in this particular. You may want to cab side. Maybe do a
90% of my district.
then it would be a simple thing, do a visual inspection, a line on it that just aligned with what's in, that would be probably, I would just take a look at, just make sure with one another. But I would also take trends beginning to happen, community, are there certain red charging from a site that
So do you have recommendation?
Pull down on the other. I made earlier with as much data as possible, really help us find. We want to be collaborative here, so free information flow that would really get and to get the more and to be actions that you just and them impacted differently growth. Ultimately want to have that level of comfort around.
Diving into it, understanding more information.
Model actually works, but absolutely.
Yeah, great. And then I'm also particularly interested in the maps, just to being able to really drill down and maybe start looking at more granularly some of the things that y'all were talking about. So CFO Bala, I'll get with you on that. So more data includes both the number of years as well as the number of properties, right?
properties and attributes of those particular properties.
Okay.
What are the key features of that particular property? Is it a two-story, one-story? Is it brick, hardy plank?
Yeah.
Particular things.
I mean, because we've had the tax assessor's office before us in the past, and there are all sorts of rationalizations that they provide in terms of, you know, the one that comes to mind is if you appeal your property tax and your assessment and are successful, you're frozen for 3 years, but then fair market value is continuing to grow. So yes, you are going to get a delta that would probably land you outside of the threshold. But if we could screen those out, I mean, again, those we know are legitimate and they'll at some point in theory catch up, but the other ones are the ones. So anyway, again, I'm fascinated by this, would love to get more granular, but appreciate the conversation. The irony is that both us, the county, as well as the school board, a school system should be aligned in the objective here, because under assessment leads to under collection and under resourcing of our three entities. What's interesting to me, however, is that the assessor's office seems to be very insulated from any of the pressures that any of the three, and I can see in some regard where it should rightfully be so, but when you have such compelling data here that suggests that there's a systemic and systematic issue here, I would think that we would want to try and get on the same page. So I would just suggest too that I did have a conversation with my school board member as well as my Fulton County Commissioner Monday night at a neighborhood annual meeting, and I was like, this is something we got to talk about because there's interesting analysis that suggests that there is something here. So I would encourage, to the extent that we can, do that. And then I also know that at the state level, a couple of years ago, there was a push in terms of a statewide approach to assessors' offices, because this isn't just a City of Atlanta problem. This is the challenge, and the opportunity exists across the state, and all municipalities should be also interested and aligned in terms of correct valuation. So I'd be curious to pull that back up to see what the state had suggested as potential steps forward, and that maybe that's just something we should lean into as well. So, Mr. Chair.
Through October, in July through October, so it's a over a year. So they're doing good for those that. But this is a simple, we are a call center, list to serve with non-information. Our core service are listed here, say there are parks, trees, recreational and events. We also assist sidewalks, when I say assist, call and take, not fulfillment, licenses with officer, and of course, departments in the city. Our operating Friday, 7 a.m., and we do have a roach, so just several ways, portal, ATL, they can email us. Or X, case, X, question, and it's a plus here you can reach us as volume for the previously and the non-information. Our core service are listed here, say there are parks, trees, recreational and events. We also assist sidewalks, when I say assist, call and take, not fulfillment, licenses with officer, and of course, departments in the city. Our operating Friday, 7 a.m., and we do have a roach, so just several ways, portal, ATL, they can email us, or X, case, X, question, and it's 8, plus here you can reach us as volume for the previously and these in blue for 2024 you would see versus 25 volume was customer service C and the delivery team, which is SS initiatives, police and diversions, and also we this time it was been not case submission. What I am proud to see is that it's remained pretty, but we did go for in the 81% and seen a decrease in wait time in customer call what is 15-second and average handling is in 52 here for CS or maybe system it or we also just takes them a little longer to complete that SD side. The levels remain pretty 99%. 25, we're at, and the air is went against more, and then Ms. Wing in at 8 seconds. Fourth, there, and 9% and 92% for service. Their queue time is at, and to complete that SD sign, the levels remain pretty 99% and 25. We're at, and the air is went against more, and then Ms. Wing in at 8 seconds. Fourth, there, and 9% and 92% for service. Their queue time is at 9 seconds, and that's typically because they're right on calls. Volume, which we 24 here, and for CSC, is you're seeing today some calls coming in evening shifts, 8 p.m. to midnight, and also so 18, which is 1 year, but that in April of this year, staying pretty steady, and no concerns on average queue time, handle time. Our top 3 channels for our high call. The first is what that they're one. Volume, which we 24 here, and for CSC, is you're seeing today some calls coming in evening shifts, 8 p.m. to midnight, and also so 18, which is 1 year, but that in April of this year, staying pretty steady, and no concerns on average queue time, handle time. Our top 3 channels for our high call. The first is what that they're one. 25, we've seen an increase of this by 100, so 330 and 380. Then their second possible water leak, and we by night also saw the top 3 cut water, 9%. For Department of Public, some increases in this area, not high, but went from 719 to 722. Saw a 4 garbage, they from 3380, which is a 12. For municipal court, we did largest increase. My court finding, so 1,820 was 31. It was a slight in. Of increases. When is my core code enforcement? We did see a junk trash 3 for private property only. Some slight increase in general information code enforcement. We saw increases in registering a new business in the city of Atlanta, as well as fine businesses and for in nature that for in the city of Atlanta to 171857 business occupation certificate renewal zero for 20. We were not tracking, started tracking it this for a pothole, non-emergency trigger, emergency trigger. We did see increase potholes by 34% and emergency trigger by and some tap bot IV damage, cart repair or replacement is coming. Number 1, as well as garbage and service, the increases in office. And lastly, supporting alternate. We saw a 48% increase for housing help center. See a slight decrease in calls, and we see for a shelter referral. Fulfillment, clay case, and service level agreement. Here with you changes. So right where it says positive you would see there was in service. So for instance, they were able to within service 25. Event, rent, 71%, they were able to close within SLA at 52%, a decrease. On site, we went from 24 now. We're seeing 49. And then in 25%. Code enforcement, a from 94%. Finance, we see well, they were able to close within 90%. And then what we did see in meeting SLA, they were at 20, they were 90. And then in this, they went down to 6. And so that bar graph, a different view. Look down, Europe shows you how it, 24, okay. C, DOL, D. The average doing pretty okay, and then follow code enforcement. Case hot, this covers from 1 to 0. What we've seen on this page is both seems to come in for districts 1 and 12. Anything else is pretty that came for back this what that team. So for our back, they take a lot of emails, fax. Is our phone system, mobile number, app, and phone number, and web. These are the cases. Is that email line? We tend to get a lot, and also so we watershed public code enforcement, which are cases that are processed are typically with that are, and so we're compared is that email line we tend to get a lot, and also we watershed public code enforcement, which are cases that are processed are typically with that are, and so we're compared to our cases we was pretty much a small. However, we are departments on SLAs processes in. But blue, in blue, closure, and in our blue is outside, and then in red. Lay at 676, and premature closures at 411, and 304 SLA with closures and outside of extra closures, and that we saw the greatest escalation. Media stats, here it just pretty continues to public love, a lot of kudos. Their top departments, ETL, DOT, and watershed. Management, followers, and our IG, Facebook, hit the most messages or do X. Our call. completed. So we are working with AIM to adhere to our system to work is completed. The department closing a service customer will complete the call. And so engage is good. We did in Q3, the public love a lot of kudos. Their top departments, ETL, DOT, and watershed management. Followers and our IG, Facebook, hit the most messages or do X. Our call completed. So we are working with AIM to adhere to our system to work is completed. The department closing a service customer will complete the call. And so engage is good. We did in Q3 some recovery from previous quarter flat. August increased by 2.5%. September grew 7% at 3.4% rate time. So we are engaged with provide. For post calls, it's really sharing suggests improvement, where shown strong, again, engagement. It could be where called a repeat calling just thanking us because it has a team, right? So there were performance with the department. Human resource for post calls. It's really sharing suggests improvement, where shown strong, again, engagements. It could be where called a repeat calling just thanking us because it has a team, right? So there were performance with the department. Human resource things. The last time I met with you, we had assistant. We are at in someone, I hate to say accountant, but we did have someone department resign, and we had performance is where they are agent related in the new year or mid-level time. So we are engaged with provide. For post calls, it's really sharing suggests improvement, where shown strong, again, engagements. It could be where called a repeat calling just thanking us because it has a team, right? So there were performance with the department. Human resource things. The last time I met with you, we had assistant. We are at in someone, I hate to say accountant, but we did have someone department resign, and we had performance is where they are agent related in the new year or mid-level quarter of next year. So our goal is this year that offer greater flexibility and response handling customer income. Also, industry 20, so I'm happy that increase our agent level, and although we have 6 monitoring our fairly close, which is why on board those new 6 agents in the new year. But we also experiment at the call center desk. So it used to be customer service, but if you notice, it now says ATL 311, so we're rebranding it for a reason, because we want people to understand that we do more than just tell you where to go in the building, right? We also submit cases for you. We check your cases for you. So we are fully staffed there Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. We also implemented some job shadowing, and this is important to me because we believe in upward mobility, and we know we have a lot of employees in our department that are truly shining. So that is why we implemented this, because when we on board, we always look first in our own department to see who we have that can move up. Our engagement is continuing to increase. We have spoken to over 4,400 individuals out in the community, rather do MPU, community events, and we will continue to do that throughout the rest of the year. Also, we work closely with the Call Center Loop Project. This is a project initiative by the mayor's office, and I was happy to help facilitate this along with Chief Shearbaum and also Commissioner Ireland. So where we looked at was a few things. how are we doing holistically across the board? So we looked at pain points, we identified some gaps, we looked at our process maps, our decision trees, and just sort of figure out where the opportunities lie. So I have submitted our recommendations to the administration, so they are looking at that, and hopefully you'll see some future enhancements soon. But I am happy to say that it was pretty positive, and we'll continue to work together as a team to improve customer experience. The premature closure alignment, I am working very closely with these 4 departments here, ADOT, Watershed, DPR, and Public Works to ensure that we continue to offer a positive customer experience, and also ensuring that we are very transparent in our communication with our customers when cases are closed. And so hopefully, if you have not already, we'll see some positive results from that. And then for October, we celebrated 11 years, and thank you, Councilmember Hillis and all of the Finance Executive and City Council for presenting us with this proclamation. And also, we were honored to have Mayor Dickens greet callers on the phones with us last month. So he had an opportunity to hear from our constituents, and they enjoyed it. And so we plan to continue to do that in the years to come as well. So driving innovation and service excellence. So we have been working very closely with AIM. I always tell Seattle, thank you. I feel like I'm an honorary member of this team from them, but I am so excited about the work that we do together to enhance our customer experience. And so, last time I met with you all, to the left of the request from you all. I'm happy to say we have this stuff, which is the boundary. So AIM vendor and determine the best. So when your mobile USC has before, right? And it's like the city of Atlanta proper, working on that, that's on that, of our chatbot on our mobile. I'm happy to say we have this stuff, which is the boundary. So AIM vendor and determine the best. So when your mobile USC has come before, right? And it's like the city of Atlanta proper, working on that, that's on that, of our chatbot on our mobile app, option to submit anonymously and receive casing into an account. Some limitations become of, so you can't see a hand logging in. And IVR, we did that prompt, so we went IVR as AIM, and I feel like a good place with the IVR. We did move that up. Lastly, we ensured just closed when they remain. So our team did some offices, your offices did of, so you can't see a hand logging in. And IVR, we did that prompt, so we went IVR as AIM, and I feel like a good place with the IVR. We did move that up. Lastly, we ensured just closed when they remain off. So our team did some offices, your offices did some cases of concern. We looked at it, witnesses were or issued your closures, but was where they weren't resolved. So we those on can say there was no closures to us. And so it's in fiscal year 8, which is also CRM system. They are going to implement, we're going to implement phase 2 of Inc. system. We'll see more of a bi-directional going to happen. Integrate our social media, and we will very Opal as well. Which is more in direction. content generation here, and just thanking ATL through learning to take place. They do tremendous work. And our audit report is so that our knowledge is and so if you have any questions, please and because it's a little bit more difficult, and so a solution
Thank you, Commissioner Good.
soon.
First, just want to start off by thanking you
Engagements
for,
from with the Proctor
good
team taking
quarterly
a pit,
report.
and also with the mayors last month. And just
sure
kudos.
speak for my colleagues. We're very
I always
appreciative of you
thanking
listening
A1
to
because
us,
they do
both in
work.
committee
And
meetings
I
and in
am
private meetings we've had, taking in issues and addressing them and then providing them as updates.
If you have any questions,
If you could
Thank
just
you,
teach
Ms.
other
Jones.
departments to do that, it would be awesome. First, just want to start off by thanking you for, also want to congratulate Department of Finance, and I'm sure we're very appreciative of listening to us, and probably the only department in issues and addressing that knows how to follow their SLA guidelines. We had a very robust meeting this morning with ATL DOT, and I'll just bring that back up because they can only meet their SLAs 29% of the time. So, and not that 52 and 45 and 47 are much better for some other departments, but do you provide this level of granular detail in cabinet meetings? And if so, why does this continue to be an issue?
yes, so I do provide this detail in cabinet, and I can say that we are all working together. We really are, and I did hear the presentations this morning, and I'm pretty confident you will see, things will trend in a better way very soon.
Thank you for that. And one question I had, so I like your reports and the details. Are we able to go into your reporting system and kind of build our own reports? I would love to see, a certain department's, year-to-date, not just the quarterly, but the year-to-date versus last year, and then to get down to not just the department level, but each service request.
Yes, we use Power BI. So yes, you do have the ability, but I would have to defer to CIO Sankian team, but you should have that. But we can help in any way we can as well.
Okay, I'll reach out to you via
Okay.
email, whether I can get some links to do that by myself or
Okay.
maybe may need some assistance.
Sounds good.
Again, thank you and to your team for your excellent efforts. Much
Thank
appreciated.
you, I appreciate it.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner. I'm always fascinated by the data, the plethora of data that you provide. I wanted to ask about page 9, and that has to do with the escalation cases processed, specifically around the premature closure. I can see where outside the SLA should just be automatically generated, within the system, past a certain number of days, it would pop up as outside. But premature closure, you would need an additional input point to let y'all know that it was closed, but it was closed incorrectly, correct? And what does that look like?
So for us, we typically, we're on an honor system, right? So when our field is out there and they say the case is resolved and close it, that is what goes to the customer and to us. It's not until the customer alerts us that the work was not completed, it's when it's escalated. And so
Okay.
that's
So
how
it
we
does requires some feedback from the public that it was not closed. So it's possible that that's understated because there might be folks that just
right.
give up, like,
Right, and then, the departments that go out, they'll reassess,
Okay,
and
okay.
more times than not, the work is completed.
okay. So it's
Based on the guidelines they were given to complete it, right? So
Okay, so again, it is, what's the prompt to the customer that called it in to then let the system know actually it was prematurely closed?
So in our new system, we have closed the feedback customer loop, so they get a notification, an email.
Yeah, I just look at these and I think these numbers are low because of the volume that we get or made aware of. But I think what we need to do is just inform the public, like you're gonna get this prompt that says it's been closed, and if it's not, you have to respond back so we have better data. Okay.
Yes.
The other question I have is just more, it goes back to follow up on what Councilmember Hillis was saying in terms of, this is great feedback. When is the analysis done by the administration? And I look at the, where is it? There's a page where you talk about the different departments and the, it's page 5. So top 3 cases from all channels. So to me, if we keep seeing where can I pay my water bill constantly, that means we're doing something wrong. That the city is doing something and we're not letting the customer know. Somehow we're not getting the information out. So who is asking those questions? That it's great that we get these and it's great that they get resolved, but what is being done proactively to try and bring the level of these numbers down? Because I just don't feel like we necessarily get a view into that dynamic on the administration side from your team back up to the department commissioners.
Yeah, so what we do in our department, we meet with the departments very frequently. So we do have monthly meetings with municipal court, and we send data to them every week about SLA, their performance, our performance, and just where we are in general. So they are aware of those top calls volumes or top case types. In addition, I know they're working on automation that's coming down the pipeline, so that may help as well. But we are providing data and communicating very often with the departments, especially our top call performers.
Okay. So again, I'd be curious if you were to take this and plot it out over, let's say, 3 to 5 years for each department, and if you still see the same top three and you see the same levels, I just wonder who is putting pressure. I mean, the fact that you share them, the data is one thing, but who is actually there going, what are y'all doing to bring this number down?
Yeah, so I can say that our CO and her team, they are holding each of us accountable. So I can say that that is being done.
All right, so at some point, I would, not this term, but maybe next term, I'd be curious to do that exercise. Let's plot out the top three for each department over 3 to 5 years, and let's see, has there actually been movement or progress on lowering these numbers? And the three, or is it the same three every time? And what's, we should be reading more into the tea leaves, and I feel like we are. So, but the simple fact that you have all this data information for us is amazing, and should give us, let's make it sing the way it's supposed to sing. So thank you, Commissioner.
You're
Mr. Chair, I yield.
welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Bacteri.
Thank you.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
Commissioner.
Hello.
As always, thank you so much. I love the idea that the mayor was on call time pulling an Elizabeth Warren. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when he was the one that picked up a call for 311 to a constituent.
Yes.
And I was going to ask with a couple of different things, specific questions, echoing everything my colleague said, but I was curious with the NREM and the municipal court systems, have we seen any changes as a result, or that you have found as a result of NREM being moved over from City Hall to municipal court?
No, I haven't heard anything about it.
We don't know if that, like, when we are tracking when people are, their court dates or whatever, have we trapped any information and any confusion of someone attending City Hall versus NREM at the courts, or do we not get granular enough into that?
No, they may actually report that straight to municipal court versus us. Yeah.
I understand. Go ahead, sorry.
No, but the data that you see here is exactly what we track, and those are our top volume calls, yeah.
And then code enforcement, the pieces that you're mentioning there, is there a breakdown? I mean, each of these code enforcements, we're talking about a different department. We have APD code enforcement, OOB, we have, and SWEET, is that correct? And watershed, I
Yes,
believe,
but
as
we're
well.
only talking about APD code enforcement in the data.
Okay, do we track anything on code enforcement when it comes to our other code enforcement offices?
Explain that to me. Which one are you referring to?
Office of Buildings,
So
SWEET with DPW.
We do. We track SWEET, and that have been one of our top three or five calls in the past. And for building, we do track their calls, but the volume is very low, which is why you never really see them as one of our top call departments.
Understood. I was curious if you were tracking any of the weekend calls, because Office of Buildings is now supposed to have code enforcement available on the weekend.
Okay.
But one of the issues we've had is people are calling that number and they're not getting any answer or getting a call back. So currently, do we know how many people are working that over the weekend? Or, Mr. Evans, is that a note that we can ask to find out how many people are actually working code enforcement, Office of Buildings? I don't even know if we've been properly briefed on that. And understanding, because I think there's been general confusion about which code enforcement office does what. And so not knowing if there's a way to track or understand, so we know which department might be having issues versus mistaking all of it for APD. That
I
would
get
be-
what you're saying, but I think if it's, if anything, Commissioner Prince may be tracking into her team that the work they're doing on the weekends, but we don't track it
Okay.
in
because
that
of
fashion to know who's working, who's not working.
So that call doesn't come through 301, that's a separate phone line.
Yes, because on the weekends, we're not open on the weekends.
Got it. Yes, that would be, that is something we've been pushing for, isn't it? Mr. Evans, if we can make a note of that. And then I was also going to ask, with the honor system piece, when you said that, that was interesting. I'm curious, has there been discussions, I mean, UPS, food delivery, et cetera, they are required to take a picture and send it back to confirm completion? Do we have nothing like that available
So
within
it's
our own
not-
systems?
It's not required, but they do send pictures. And they'll show us when the work is completed, and we can add it into our system. So they do take pictures.
Is that something we should require? Not that, that's on you, that's something I feel like we should require to, in essence, to assist with the closed loop system. But that, I did not know that, so thank you.
Yeah.
That's
So
something.
we'll look into that, see if there's a layer that can be added from the field perspective. But it may happen when the integrations take place, because their systems, especially, on the watershed side or any other department, they have separate systems where they probably are taking pictures, uploading it, the work there. So we'll see with the integrations if that can happen on our
Okay.
end as well.
Thank you. And the piece on pad with the numbers going down in terms of folks helped, is there an overlay of where those call times have gone down? Because I'm wondering if it's consistent with our case manager program in hotspot areas. So is there anything to show us that there's a correlation between those two things?
Yeah, we can definitely look into the time frame for you, but we typically see the numbers go down mostly in the evening, 3 down is where we're seeing it. But yeah, if you want to dig deeper, we can. We can
That'd be
provide it
awesome.
for you.
Thank you. And my last question was call time for Watershed. So Watershed has their own call number? Okay. So that is not you all.
But-
Go ahead.
They do, but they do call 311 first, right? And so the public calls us first. We assess the call to determine if it should stay with us or go to Watershed.
Okay. Because you've actually been very helpful. We had a couple of these incidents, and we thought the wait time was on 311. It wasn't. So you're referring them to DWM, where customers are waiting another 20 to 30 minutes. So that is on us to also find out what's happening with the call time within that department. So we will, thank you for clarifying that that's not the same, because I was not sure. But those are my questions, and I do want to tell you that there's been premature closures and those things have gone down. Complaints around 311 have gone down, and I just want to thank you guys because I feel that things have really improved. So
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for sharing.
thank you. Thanks, Commissioner.
Mr. Hillis.
Just a simple request. If you could send me your fax number, I'm going to start faxing in my complaints. And if you could just fax me back my confirmation numbers.
Okay. Okay. I
Who
will.
is faxing complaints? I have to
Yeah, you'll
ask.
be surprised. Like businesses will send us like information we need to process their case. They'll fax us back the forms versus emailing. So yeah, people still use fax.
I had to make that request. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sketch artist. All right. Thank you. Kudos on your financials and your vacancy rate. You're a
Thank
league
you.
leader there. I do have one question. and Now, I'm going back like 20 years, but the Franklin administration periodically issued, I'm going to get the name wrong, customer satisfaction surveys.
Yes.
I don't want to add extra work for you to do because you obviously have plenty to attend to, but have you all considered, reaching out in that format?
Yes. Yes, so we do that with our post-call surveys. Those are customer service, service surveys that we're sending out. So that's the data that I provided back to you today. Now, are you asking more of a citywide? Okay.
No. I'm asking, on a scale of 1 to 5, rate the job the widget department is doing.
Okay.
That's what those used to look like.
I got you.
They were unflinching, reach outs to the public, which is probably why they stopped. All right, just to,
So I will take a note of that, and I will have to give that to the administration to see if that's something they're interested in doing.
Well, I mean, no one's going to want to do it. Yeah, but seriously, I mean, the question is, if you're willing to be unflinching about it, that is the data you really need every bit, if not more than the way this is sliced and diced in
Right.
here. But anyway, great job as always, Commissioner.
Thank you, I
Action
appreciate
Pact
it.
report. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, Mr. Evans, could you sound our two first reads?
Item number 1 is 2050-1646, an ordinance by Finance Executive Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to exercise the second renewal option for a cooperative purchase agreement listed here, property appraisal validation services with Executive Information Systems on behalf of the Department of Finance for a term of 1 year, retroactively effective from November 11th, 2025 through November 10th, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $120,000 and 0 cents to ratify services rendered in connection with the agreement beginning November 11th, 2025. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the department. Organization, account numbers listed herein. Item number 2 is 2050-1647, an ordinance by Finance Executive Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to exercise the first renewal option for the contract listed here, indirect cost allocation plan with Maximus U.S. Services to develop indirect cost allocation plans retroactively effective August 15th, 2025 through August 14th, 2026 in an amount not to exceed $90,000 and 0 cents to ratify services rendered in connection with the agreement beginning August 15th, 2025. All contractor work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, account numbers, et cetera, and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. Ordinances for second read begins with 2050-1603, ordinance by Finance Exec amending the city code as cited to provide for increased flexibility to make other drafting amendments and for other purposes. This deals with attendance and leave. And I understand the request is to hold this today. So that's my motion. Second by Juan. Let's open the vote.
That vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, we'll take it up along with about 59 other papers at our next meeting. 2050-1604 is an ordinance by Finance Exec to amend the ordinance cited, adopted on the date listed, and approved on the date listed to correct the funding information and for other purposes. It's corrective legislation. I'll second. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Yep.
Vote is closed.
2050-1605 is an ordinance by Finance Exec waiving the cited section of the code to execute the Fifth Amendment to the agreement indicated workers' compensation third-party admin services with PMA Management Corp. On behalf of DOF to extend the term of the agreement effective from December 26th of this year on a month-to-month basis for a period not to exceed 6 months and add funding in amount not to exceed $172,900. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from, et cetera. Yeah, 3. Did I say 6? Okay, good catch. No, it's 3. I'll second. Any questions or comments? Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, that takes us to the first of our parade of substitutes. 2050-1606 requires a substitute, and I will move to bring one forward. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that vote.
Vote is open. And closed.
All right, substitutes before us. This is 1606, substitute by Finance Exec, substituted by Finance Exec. Ordinance waiving the code sections indicated here to execute the Fifth Amendment to the agreement indicated risk management information system with Origami Risk LLC on behalf of Department of Finance to extend the term of the agreement effective December 23 of this year on a month-to-month basis for a period not to exceed 12 months and to add funding in amount not to exceed $311,408.39, all contracted work being charged to and paid from, et cetera. and who is presenting. Hello, Mr. Deloach.
Good afternoon, Jerry Deloach from the Department of Finance, Chief Risk Officer. The legislation before you is a request for the Fifth Amendment to the contract we have with Origami. I'll give you a little bit of background information. We tried to do an RFP approximately 3 times now. We're working very closely with DOP in that new procurement process, and they understand the timeline that we're working with. And they have the package, it's being reviewed, and we believe that with November and December and the 6 months that we have in 2026, that should be sufficient for us to complete the RFP as well as do a transition period. If we're not able to complete it, we still have an additional 6 months because we're requesting 12 months total.
Okay, so the substitute increases it from 6 to 12.
Correct.
And then, of course, it's going to cost more, and so that's also part of the substitute. Mr. Wan.
Yeah, so the whereas clauses suggest that, well, the last procurement, all proponents were unresponsive to the solicitation. So I trust that the corrective measures are being taken by procurement.
That is correct, and with their new procurement processes that they have in place with the strategy team that will help us to review the scope of work, and then we'll have like a pre-scope of work published.
Okay.
That will give people time to give us questions, and we can answer that before the final scope of work is approved, and we believe that that will cut down some of the back and forth and make people more responsive.
Okay, yeah, because it feels like we're seeing a little bit of an uptick in not challenges, but just procurements that are not going as smoothly as we had originally intended. And I just want to acknowledge it and hope that there's nothing more systemic going on than just some minor corrective things or the new CPO in place. So I just want to acknowledge. The other thing I want to just acknowledge too is that it feels like the longer we do this, the more expensive it gets. Like every time we do a 6-month renewal, it jumps, and then it jumps again the next 6-month renewal, and then jumps yet again. So
And that's absolutely correct, but once again, the motivation for us this time around is that we have a new process in place. DOP is aware of the time frame, and we're all committed to making sure that we don't have to have those additional costs.
Okay.
And just as a point of reference, last month you approved the contract with our third-party administrative workers' comp. We went through several rounds with that. It was successful with the new process, and so we believe this one will be successful as well.
great, thank you, Mr. Deloach. I'll move approval on substitute.
Second. Let's open the vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The vote is open. And that vote is closed.
All right, item's been adopted on substitute. That takes us to 25-0-1610, and I will move to bring forward a substitute for Ed. Second by Mr. Hillis. Let's open that procedural vote.
The vote is open.
All right, substitutes before us. It's an ordinance by Wyckoff, Bakhtiari, Collins, Dozier, Wan, and Bond is substituted by Finance Exec, amending the code sections indicated here to establish the mayor's office of One Atlanta, to authorize the CFO to create the appropriate department organizations and to anticipate and appropriate the necessary funding in connection with the creation of the mayor's office of One Atlanta, to authorize the CFO and the Commissioner of the Department of HR to transfer any positions currently assigned to any branch or department operating under the executive branch to the Mayor's Office of One Atlanta, as shall be necessary to facilitate the immediate commencement thereof and for other purposes. And this substitute adds some clarifying languages. Any question or comments? I will move approval. Second by Ms. Bakhtiari. If there's nothing else, let's open that vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, what question? No? No. Okay.
I am certain that whoever is overseeing this office will do a fantastic job, and I'm happy to see it pass. Thank you.
And moving right along, 25-01611 is an ordinance by Shook authorizing the transfer of blank from various council district carry forward accounts and for other purposes now. We're being asked to hold this. This is kind of a subject near and dear to our hearts. What's the problem with getting this across the finish line is my question. I mean, why are we continuing to hold this? Yeah.
Trying to find it. Yeah, funny. That one, I think we are waiting for the appropriate accounting information. We
Well,
don't have that
I
yet.
can see that.
Right.
I'm just wondering, I mean, we're kind of running out of time here. So someone needs to get this together, like now. Motion to hold. Well, let me possibly rescind that. Can we send this forward? I mean, is there any reason why we just can't get this done on Monday?
I think the plan was to have it done on the floor of the last meeting of the full council in the year with the information at the end of the year.
All right, I mean, I'm willing to go along with that, Mr. CFO, which, you know, if
Yeah, I do think that we're coordinating with the council's administrative team as well, too, to make sure it's all finalized and organized before we send it in.
all right, well,
But
any more
we can try-
coordination?
We can you pull it, if it's held, I'd rather hold it, but can you pull it off held in Monday if we made enough traction between now and then? Yeah, okay.
All right, that's fine. There's been a motion and a second to hold it, so let's carry that vote.
Vote is open. Who's? Vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay. 25-01614 is an ordinance by Mr. Juan authorizing a donation amount not to exceed $15,000 from the District 6 carry forward account to various nonprofit community organizations pursuant to the section of the charter cited here. Move approval. Second by Hillis. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, motion carries so ordered. 25-01618 requires a substitute. I'll move to bring one forward. Second by Hillis. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. And that vote is closed.
All right, this is an ordinance by Ms. Overstreet, substituted by FEC, waiving the sections of the code indicated here to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute contracts with sponsors, performers, artists, media outlets, venues, and vendors necessary to effectuate the City of Atlanta's 2026 Atlanta Jazz Festival, and allowing the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs on behalf of the City of Atlanta to charge admission fees for select events at the Jazz Festival, authorizing that all Jazz Festival contracted work shall be paid from, et cetera. And what does the substitute accomplish? Am I right? Okay, am I right? It adds language acknowledging the money's already been budgeted? Is that correct?
Right.
Move approval on substitute. Second by Winston. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed.
All right, thank you. 25-0-1625 also requires a substitute. I'll motion to bring it forward. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, substitutes before us, which adds some cleanup language and as well as account information. This is an ordinance by Ms. Spoon, is substituted by FEC, waiving the code section cited here to authorize the mayor's designee to execute contracts with sponsors, performers, artists, venues, and vendors necessary to effectuate the city of Atlanta's hosting of the Mayor's Midnight Basketball League for the benefit of the public, to authorize the City of Atlanta to accept donations for the purpose of supporting the city's actions related to hosting the Mayor's Midnight Basketball League, to authorize all costs to be paid from and all sponsorship revenue and donations to be deposited into the Civic and Cultural Event Trust Fund account, which is listed, and for other purposes. I'll move approval on substitute. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
All right, the ayes have it. 25-0-1626 also requires a substitute. I'll move to bring it forward. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
No. Yeah, which?
Yeah, this is okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just numbered wrong.
Okay. Did we carry the vote to bring it before us?
Now we have.
Okay, so it's before us. The caption reads, ordinance by Boone, substitute by finance exec, waiving the cited sections of the code here, authorize the mayor as vendors necessary to effectuate the City of Atlanta's hosting of the 2026 Senior Ball for the benefit of the public, to authorize the City of Atlanta to accept donations for the purpose of supporting the city's actions related to the hosting of the 2025 Senior Ball through December 31st of 2026, to authorize all costs to be paid from and all sponsorship revenue and donations to be deposited into the Civic and Cultural Trust Fund account, which is listed, and for other purposes. Motion to approve on substitute, which I will second. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed.
All right, the ayes have it. It takes us to 25-0-1627, ordinance by Ms. Boone and Ms. Collins, waiving the cited sections of the code, authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute contracts with sponsors, performers, artists, venues, and vendors necessary to effectuate the City of Atlanta's hosting of the 2025 Interfaith Community Luncheon, to authorize the city to accept donations for the purpose of supporting the city's actions related to hosting the Interfaith Luncheon through December 31st of this year, to authorize all costs to be paid from and all revenue and donations to be deposited into the Civic and Cultural Event Trust Fund account listed, and for other purposes. Yeah, did we carry the vote on bringing the substitute forward?
We haven't brought the substitute forward for this one. The substitute will change those years from the year it's stated now to the next year. So
Okay, to
25 to
26, yeah,
26.
I was going to ask about that. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. Would all members please vote?
Who hasn't voted?
Vote is closed. 6 yeas and 0 nays. So the vote is cleared. Now the substitute is before the committee.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to approve on substitute. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And that vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, thank you. 25-01628, an ordinance by Ms. Bakhtiari to provide for the annexation of properties having the frontage on Sargent Avenue, Smith Street, Ford Street, Orange Blossom Terrace, Young Street, Gwynn Drive, Shouldercrest Drive, and Eastland Road in unincorporated DeKalb to the corporate boundaries of the City of Atlanta pursuant to the 60% method to extend the boundaries of the Atlanta Independent School System to notify the Georgia DCA of such annexation and for other purposes. Motions to hold. Second. Second by Ms. Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And would all members please vote? And the vote is closed.
All right. All right, the ayes have it. It takes us to resolutions. 25R4129, resolution by Shook, urging the 25-26 regular session of the Georgia General Assembly to support the City of Atlanta's 26th legislative package and for other purposes. And we're going to hold this here. That's my motion. Second. Second by Juan. For those of you who would like to add to the list, please contact the administration. So motion is to hold.
That vote is open. The vote is closed. Five yeas, 1 nay.
You realize now I have to give a committee report because of this. Well, we're holding it.
The wheels are coming off.
It is. 25R41, well, you know who controls the thermostat? It's not us. 25R4142 is a resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor's designee to execute the First Amendment to the SB indicated professional development services with the University of Georgia's Carl Vinson Institute on behalf of DOF to add funding in an amount not to exceed $40,104. All contracted work being charged to and paid from, et cetera. Move approval by Juan, second by Bakhtiari. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
25R4143 is a resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor to execute the Fourth Amendment to the agreement indicated external financial audit services with Malden & Jenkins LLC to add an amount not to exceed $135,000 for the Moore Atlanta Phase 2 assessment. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from, et cetera. Mr. Juan. Well, yeah, let's have a presentation.
Yolanda Carr, Deputy CFO. This here is for Malden & Jenkins to do the Moore MARTA audit for FY23 and FY24. And this is the Fourth Amendment for the Malden & Jenkins contract that we currently have.
So the work that they did before was for prior years?
Correct, FY17 through FY22.
And do we have any indication, and I know this is outside of your department, but any indication of where we currently are with the conversations with MARTA about resolving or addressing the discrepancy? Do you have any idea?
I'll defer to the CFO.
They're ongoing.
Ongoing? Okay. All right. Move approval.
Okay, thanks. Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
Thanks, appreciate it.
So we've got a motion and a second to approve. If there's nothing else, let's open the vote.
Thank God we're doing another audit.
I like that ongoing.
Would all members please vote? And the vote is closed.
Wait, side. Sorry.
Is the ventilation working in this building? Is there a carbon monoxide problem here? Okay. Because our tens of viewers at home are wondering what's going on, I'm sure. 25R4144 is a resolution by Finance Exec authorizing the mayor to execute the special procurement, which is listed, one passenger vehicle rental with Automax Rent-A-Car and Enterprise Leasing Company of Georgia on behalf of APD pursuant to the section of the code listed here for a term of 5 years with 2 one-year renewal options in an amount not to exceed $300,000 annually. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from, et cetera. And we need to hold this.
Move to hold.
Second by Hillis, motion by Juan. Let's open the vote.
Vote is open.
Yeah.
And would all members please vote?
Nope.
And that vote is closed.
Uh, 25R4145 is a resolution by FEC authorizing the mayor to issue the task order indicated for blank for the RFP as cited, job order contracting services with blank for the Department of Finance renovations on behalf of Enterprise Assets Management in an amount not to exceed blank, all work to be charged to and paid from, et cetera. Motion is to hold.
Second.
Second by Juan. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. Would all members please vote?
All right, the motion carries. We'll take that and a couple hundred other items up at our last meeting. That takes us to dual referrals, first of which is 25O1612, and I will move to bring forward a substitute. Second by Juan. Let's open the vote.
That's right. And the vote is open. And the vote is closed. Substitutes
All
before
right.
you.
This is an ordinance by Shook, is substituted by Transportation, as substituted by FEC, authorizing the CFO to place a hold on the Atlanta City Council District 7 Renew Atlanta Infrastructure Bond discretionary funds, pursuant to which they shall be encumbered such that they shall be reserved for use for their intended purpose as discretionary dollars available to the District 7 representative in accordance with the Renew Atlanta Infrastructure Initiative, providing that the hold placed on the District 7 Renew Atlanta Infrastructure Bond discretionary funds may only be removed pursuant to appropriate legislative action by the City of Atlanta Council and for other purposes.
Mr. CFO, I have a question. I asked this in Transportation, and the Transportation Department answered it, but I understand Councilmember Shook and support his desire to do this because of the change in representation. But for those of us that are going to be returning next term and still have unallocated discretionary dollars for Renew, there is not any sort of deadline or anything whereby if we don't do similar action, it will somehow get absorbed into a general bucket of money, right? Okay,
No, that is not the case.
okay, thank you. Move approval on substitute.
Okay, thank you. The motion's been made and seconded. The substitute adds some clarifying language. I want to thank Ms. Robinson. I want to thank ATL-DOT and Finance for collaborating on this. So let's hold the vote.
The vote is open. And that vote is closed.
All right, thank you. 25O1591 is also a dual referral. This is an ordinance by Westmoreland, Winston, Juan, Dozier, Hillis, and Bakhtiari, is substituted by CDHS to amend the charter as indicated to more explicitly define the purpose of and uses for the dedicated affordable housing fund, to provide for certain reporting requirements related thereto, and for other purposes. Motion to approve by Bakhtiari, second by Hillis. If there's nothing else, let's open that vote.
The vote is open.
Got issues with this, man.
The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, held papers, we have three. First of which is item 28, found on page 12 in your hymnal, 25-0-1096, an ordinance by Mr. Amos to ratify, reaffirm, supplement, and amend that certain master bond ordinance adopted on the dates listed as previously substituted and amended to provide for the issuance by the city of Atlanta of its water and wastewater subordinate lien revenue refunding bond series 2025A, and the aggregate principal bond not to exceed blank, to refund or tender for purchase all or a portion of those bonds. And the city's outstanding water and wastewater revenue refunding bond series 2020, and the city's outstanding blank, collectively the refunded bonds, and authorize the preparation and distribution of an invitation or offer to tender bonds and related disclosure documents, and the execution and delivery of a dealer management agreement and tender agent agreement in connection with a tender for purchase of the refunded bonds, to authorize the preparation and use of a preliminary official statement and official statement in connection with the offering for sale of the Series 2025 bonds, to supersede and waive all resolutions and conflicts or parts of resolutions and ordinances that conflict with the provisions of this ordinance and for other purposes. And we are filing this, correct?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. If there's nothing else, let's vote.
The vote is open. And that vote is closed. The item is filed.
Okay. Now let's skip ahead to page 17. We're going to take up 41 and 42. 25R 4089 requires a substitute. That's my motion. A second by Mr. Amos. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. Substitutes before you.
All right, substitutes before us, 25R 4089 is a resolution by Shook authorizing the CFO to refund customers for overpayments of water and sewer accounts in the amount of $268,827.16. All funds to be charged to and paid from, et cetera. Motions to adopt on substitute, second by Hillis. Let's open that vote.
The vote is open. And closed.
Okay, the ayes have it. 25R 4090 also needs a substitute. That's my motion. Second by Bakhtiari. Let's open that one.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Okay. This is a resolution by Shook authorizing the Commissioner of Watershed Management to adjust water and sewer service charges or certain customer accounts in accordance with the city code section cited in the amount of $144,123.76 and for other purposes. Motions to approve on substitute.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wan. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Is that it?
That's all.
I just want to state for the record on 25-0-1591, I do have grave concerns about this legislation that I will be speaking to the council member about. It really impacts and restricts the general fund's availability and flexibility to be able to meet its needs. So there's some considerable things that want to get added, deleted, or changed by the next meeting.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned.